Hello and welcome to week 4 in Introduction to Sociology. This week we're going to be taking on two chapters, chapters 9 and 10, both having to deal with inequality, which is a central core issue in the sociology. And kind of in the origins of sociology we saw is really the science emerging to address and understand things in inequality. So in chapter 9 we look at U.S. inequality, and we start off immediately with a discussion that what are the factors that make us not the same or what make us unequal? And I kind of outline fortune, merit, and systemic components here. Just real, so review those, that fortune, luck, born into a certain family, born with certain capacities, born in a certain time and place, those kinds of things that make fortune happen, make us successful. Merit, hard work, and very, very connected to the value system of cultural America. And then finally, systemic inequality, where we take a look at, are there mechanisms in the structure of our society, the location of particular opportunities, the mechanisms by which people need to get to have those opportunities? Is there some inequality built into that results in statistics that don't make sense? And I'm really I'm shoving a lot of information here at you, but think of this, that in an equitable society where land of opportunity, right? That's how we kind of view the United States. Then if I had a company in a particular area and that area had a 10% population of people of color, then it would stand to reason that approximately 10% of the people working at my company would be people of color. But yet, many times we don't see that, and efforts have been made to try and address that with equal opportunity, different kinds of laws that we've come out. Largely, we're still having those kinds of issues where we might actually be seeing systemic inequality, where the land of opportunity is not equal opportunity for people of color, people of disabilities, people of different genders, and those kinds of things. So we recognize that. So in the United States, we see social stratification in terms of the socioeconomic layers that people can occupy, and we see social mobility. See, here's where I am because of those three factors, because of fortune, merit, and systemic. Here's where I am. And then we ask ourselves, well, can I change this? Now, mobility is affected by that systemic thing, of the access to the opportunities for mobility may be limited for people with disabilities, people of color, people of different genders. And so we examine those particular characteristics very, very closely to see which aspects of inequality are because of merit, which we're okay with. We're okay with merit, and to some degree, we're okay with fortune. If somebody's lucky, or they're born skilled, they have particular characteristics, or they have supportive parents and stuff like that, we're like, that's okay. In the introduction section, in the attention getter, I talk about Simone Biles, the world famous gymnast who was born with the body made to do that. She had wealthy parents willing to support that goal in her life, but she also worked hard, and we're okay with all that. We're not really okay with systemic inequality. We don't want false barriers to be put in front of people, so we're kind of taking a look at that. So social mobility is a key aspect of study within sociology as well. We look at education, we look at different kinds of opportunities that people have to advance, working hard, or the concept of glass ceilings or sticky floors, depending on how you want to use the analogy for how well people can move up and down the ladder. As I do this, we're heading into an election where it's going to be maybe the first vice president who's a woman in 2020. Almost every other country has had a leader who's been a woman, and it's not an issue of qualification, it's an issue of statistics. If half the population is women, half is men, and there's equal opportunity, then it would stand to reason that half the time we would have a woman president. We have never had a woman president. And so those are the kind of the glaring things that say maybe the land of opportunity is not, maybe it's hilly and people can't always get over those hills. Now, when we transition into chapter 10 and we look at world inequality, whole different ball game. We start looking at, we have a different perspective of poverty. When we look at poverty over here, the concept of a person not having enough water, food, shelter, healthcare, and stuff like that, although those do happen in the United States, nowhere close to the kind of prevalence that has in other parts of the world. That would be called absolute poverty. We have some relative poverty. Maybe I'm living in a city working at minimum wage, and it is just hard to live with the cost of the city. So relative to other people in that area, I'm at the lower end of the scale, and I can feel that. And then thirdly, in terms of, kind of finishing off the definition of poverty here, we have the perspective that we have of being poorer than the other people around us, called subjective poverty, which has its roots in kind of like, I'm working just as hard as Bill next door. Why don't I have everything that Bill has? And I'm feeling like I'm not getting my fair share. Those kind of things. We also go into the World Bank. We go into different stratifications of how the World Bank defines income in nations. We look at the Gini coefficient, all of this stuff, and the quizzes and the discussions kind of surround about that, exploring those in both chapters. So this is all about inequality. That's what these two chapters sort of encompass. So we're trying to get a kind of a handle on the concepts in which we describe the way people are unequal, and it's okay, and the ways people can become unequal, and it's not okay. And then we look at that, from a U.S. versus global perspective. So that's what we're doing this week, and I will see you in the discussion boards.